Raji. Namaste everyone, welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The ongoing sessions are on Bhagavad Gita, offered by Bindoji from an Advaita perspective. We are on chapter 3. The replays for all the previous rooms are available in Clubhouse, or you can go to the link shared in the chat. There's Advaita Retold YouTube channel, and there is Apple and Spotify links shared. There's also a book penned by Artemisia based on Bindoji's insights. The title of the book is Imaginary Door, and the place where you can access them is shared in the chat. For housekeeping, I will close the hand raising in chat when Bindoji is conducting the class, after which we'll have about half an hour for a Q&A session where I'll open up the channels. Thank you, Bindoji. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste and Hari Om to all of you. Let me do my invocation. Om Namo Brahma Dibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsharishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purana Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutravashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murtibeda Vivagine Vyomavat Pyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Shlokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutah Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapada Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyandam na vidussura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Om. In the last class, we were discussing Avrutam Ajnana Metena Jnanino Nityavairina Kamarupena Kaunteya Dushpurena Anadena Cha. So Krishna said to Arjuna, desire discovers the knowledge, and it is the eternal enemy for the wise. The insatiable nature of Kama and Krodha, like fire, and leads to endless suffering, and the samsara will continue. To destroy it, one must identify their dwelling places. So we have 40 to 43, 4 verses today to complete. I'll do my best to see if I can finish it today. That is my wish. Let us see. Kim adhishtana punaha kama jnanasya avaranattvena vairi sarvasya lokasya. Sarvasya lokasya vairi kamaha jnanasya avaranattvena kim adhishtanam iti. What is the substratum, or where is this Kama and Krodha residing or operating from, is the question which is there. Ityapekshayam aha jnatehi satroho adhishtane sukhena nirvahanam kartum shakyata iti. Only when we know where the enemy is hiding, it can be shastre adhisthane. Using the right equipment, we can eliminate the enemies. With this as Shankaracharya's introduction to the verse, we will go to Krishna's words in the verse number 40. Indriyani mano buddhihi asya adhishthana muchyate. Etaihi vimohayasti esha jnanam avritya dehinam. Indriyani mano buddhihi asya adhishthana muchyate. Etaihi vimohayati esha jnanam avritya dehinam. The sense organs, the mind, the intellect, indriyani mano buddhi, asya adhisthana muchyate, are said to be the seat of this kama and krodha. The second line reads, etaihi vimohayati esha jnanam avritya dehinam. This kama, avritya, having covered jnanam, knowledge, etaihi, through this, which is the three indriya mano buddhi. Vimohayati, deludes the embodied one, dehinam, embodied one. So it's a straight answer from Krishna. The abiding place or the place where the enemies of both kama and krodha are residing in the indriya, manaha and buddhi, in the sense organs, mind and intellect. Residing there, they cover the knowledge, jnanam avritya. Edai means these three. Vimohayati means deludes or pulls into a state of ignorance or confuses. Esha dehinam, this embodied one. So, in the embodied one is the indriya, mana and buddhi, the sense organs, mind and the intellect. So, it is residing in the body and controlling the knowledge or covering the knowledge. You should not forget the three types of avaranam which has been mentioned in Dhumena Avrutam Manni, that smoke covering the fire, then the mirror getting color, the deposit of dust or dirt, which is prohibiting the face to be seen, and how the thin embryo, the embryo is covered by a thin layer of what you call skin. So these are the three examples which was given. Keep that in mind when we go further today into the verses. Indriyani, the sense organs or the senses. First of the three, kamas adhisthana. Shankaracharya says, Ch03-20-Shrimad jnanendriyani vaggadini karmendriyani cha. The organs of knowledge beginning with the ear and the organs action beginning with the speech, etc. All the 10 indriyas are included. 5 jnanendriyas, that is organs of perception, ear, skin, eye, tongue, nose, etc. And the 5 karmendriyani, organs of action, which is speech, hand, feet, excretory organ, and generative organ. Shankaracharya says that indriyas are as the balaihi, bahi, bahi in locus of kama, bahi lohas, means it is the extreme most external location are in the form of indriyas where these kamas are residing. The outermost level at which kama operates by directing the organs toward the objects with pull of raga and pull of push of jayashva. The Indriyas are listed first because they are the most grossly observable seat of Kama. So the extreme-most is Indriyas, which are going to be in contact with the phenomenal world and sense objects. Therefore, they are the grossest observable seat of Kama. The sadhaka can most immediately observe Kama operating through the sense desires. We found that the sense organs, when they are in contact with the sense objects, is where the raga and dvesha are developing in our earlier analysis. This raga and dvesha, attraction and repulsion, is the place where the Kama is directly perceivable. That is why the raga and dvesha is also happening, because Kama is operating at that level. This can be compared at the grossest example of where the embryo is covered by the membrane. We are never able to understand the nature of the phenomenal world except through the names and forms. Names includes their name, description, qualities, adjectives, etc. The form is the appearance in the visual sense. It can be either experienced as, objects which are directly visible or imaginarily visible also. They're all indriyas coming in contact with it. And it is covered with, in total form, that we are not able to see the reality of that they are also Brahman or Atman. Completely covered. And we are not able to break through that to understand. Our knowledge cannot break through that. So that is the example with the embryo thing. The subtler than the gross indriyas are the mana. Mana means mind or the inner sense, faculty of will and doubt, the coordinator of sense data, etc. That is mana and chitta. Both are there included in it. It is the second of the three, indriyani mano buddhi. Shankaracharya says that sankalpa vikalpa atmakam andakarana. It is the inner organ whose nature is volition, sankalpa, and the doubt, vikalpa. Manas is the inner locus of kama, subtler than indriya, but less subtler than indriya, but less subtler than the buddhi. It is, Shankaracharya says that it is the seat of sankalpa, means volition. The mental volition that projects the desire towards the objects even before the indriyas come in contact with them. The indriyas can contact and sense object. Only the mind has instructed in the indriya. Otherwise, the indriya, even the sense organ may be in contact with the sense object, but it is not having the contact. It is physically in contact, but not apprehension-wise contact. So, kama in the minus operates through this mental act, craving, fantasy, and wishful imagination. The sankalpa vrittis or the volitions that is happening in the mind that rehearse and amplify the desire even in the absence of a direct sense contact. That is when the direct contact is also not there. You can imagine and enjoy the object. It is all happening because the desire is operating at the mind level. In the 3.6, we were told about a mithyachari or a hypocrite who externally is in a composed and sitting quiet, but his mind is fully agitative and active. Karmendriyani manasa samyamya ye aste manasa smaran. That was the word used there. So smaran indriyarthan. So he mentally dwelling upon the sense objects, illustrating how kama in the mind can operate even when the indriya kama is not agitated, or it can be even externally suppressed. The physical eye can be closed. We can, go to a cave or a secluded place to avoid contact of the desired objects. But the mind can amplify the desire. The third of the triad is what is the buddhi, indriya, mano, buddhi. Buddhi is the intellect, the discriminative intelligence, the faculty of determination and judgment. The third of the most subtle member of the triad. Shankaracharya glosses this as Nischayatmika Andakarana Vritti, the function of the inner organ whose nature is definitive determination. Buddhi is the subtlest seat of kama, more difficult to detect and most dangerous because buddhi is the very faculty of viveka, discrimination, that would otherwise recognize and overcome kama. Kama in the buddhi as prajnana dosha, corruption of discriminative intelligence. When kama has penetrated the level of buddhi, it distorts the very judgment that should recognize it as an enemy. So the person becomes an ajnani. Or the ajnani whose buddhi is now corrupted by kama. He will rationalize his desire as dharma, his attachment as love, his craving as legitimate needs. This is all buddhi can corrupt. When corrupted with the kama, we give justification for our desires. We say we are doing dharmic actions. We are showing compassion and love to our fellow beings. Our cravings, like the need for devotion, need for social service, all those things are justified because the kama has corrupted the mind or corrupted the buddhi, and now buddhi, having lost the discrimination, justifies this and will be unable to see them clearly. This is the kama's most dangerous and subtle operation. Asya, of this kama, adhishthanam uchyate. So these are the ashraya. Adhishthanam means ashraya sthanam, the support station, or the technical term is that where, it is firmly placed. Adhishthanam means ashraya sthanam. It cannot be, dethroned from there. It indicates not mere location, but the operational base. Kama does not merely reside in these three, but controls them, operates from them, and using them as the instruments for concealment and delusion. So the three constitute structural supports through which the kama maintains the avarana of jnana. Over the ordering of the triad, Indriya Mano Buddhi, from the gross subtle corresponds to the three levels of Adhisthana, Bahya, Madhyama and Andara, and will correspond to the three levels of sadhana prescribed in the next three verses. So these are the Adhishthanam. Uchyate means is being declared. Declared by whom? The Vedas or the Upanishads. Etaihi means these, by these, or through these, refers to Indriyani Mano Buddhi. By means of these three, as instrumental means for karma to operate, is where, it resides and operates. Etaihi tribihi adhishtanaihi means by means of these three bases. These three are not merely passive locations but active instruments. So the karma uses them. Not only they are adhering to these Indriya Mano Buddhi, while adhering to these three, uses them to act according to the direction of karma, virtually becoming subservient to karma. Indriyas, mana and buddhi will become subservient to karma. And once it becomes subservient, vimohayati, causing thorough delusion or complete bewilderment or confusion. So karma causes the embodied one to be vimudha, means his discrimination power has gone. The V prefix intensifies the thoroughness or the completeness of the delusion. Vimohayati ajnanam utpadayati. That means causes delusion or produces ignorance. Shankaracharya reads vimohayati as a specific mechanism through which karma operates. Using the three adhishthanas or substratums or the base as instruments, it produces moha, a confusion or a delusion in the jiva or the dehin. This is the first place in the Gita where Krishna is using the word dehin. Dehin means the embodied one. Moha is the specific andakarana vikara that prevents viveka. The confused person cannot discriminate Atman from Anatman, Kama from Dharma, Vairi from Bandhu. That is, Atma from Anatma, the self from non-self, Kama from Dharma, the desire from the duties and responsibilities, from the enemies to a relative. Esha jnanam, this Kama, jnanam avritya. Having covered the knowledge, the same jnanam as what is given in the 38 and 39, Atma jnanam and Viveka jnanam, both. That is what is getting covered by the Kama. So, Kama first covers avritya jnana and then deludes vimohayati. And the sequence is covering and then projection. That is avarana and vikshepa. These are the two shaktis of ignorance or avidya because of karma that is getting operational. Shankaracharya reads avritya as indicating the causal relationship. Vikshepa, delusion, is made possible by prior avarana, covering. If jnana is not covered, the Dehin would see clearly and could not be deluded. Therefore, Shankaracharya connects this to the Advaitic doctrine that Avidya's two Shaktis, Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti. That is the power of concealment and power of projection. So the best example is that the concealment of the nature of the rope and projection of the snake in the place of the rope is example what is given Avarana and Vikshepa. Same way, nature and silver or post and ghost, all of them are, first it has to conceal the reality, jnanam. Then only it goes for the projection, delusion with the false information. Avarana hides the truth, reality. And Vikshepa projects the false reality in its place. And both are done by Kama. So Kama operates as the concrete expression of both of these Shaktis simultaneously. And whom does the Kama affect? Dehinam, the embodied one, the Jiva. And it is the one which is getting vimohayati or deluded. Shariram deham dharayati iti dehi. One who bears or carries this body is called the Dehi. The choice of Dehin rather than Purusha for Jiva in this verse is very significant. Because Dehin emphasizes the embodied condition. It is because of the body and its associated indriyas that Kama has the Adhisthana through which it operates. The disembodied Atman or pure Atman. Disembodied Atman means Atman without the association or identification with the body. Has no indriyas, no mind, no intellect. These are the deha samagri, equipments of the body. So when I say body, mind, intellect complex, it is the dehin. What is it is? The Kama operates through them to delude the dehin. Dehinam in the verse is pointing to the vyavaharika condition of Atman identified within the body. It is this identification that makes vimoha, delusion. Because when this identification takes, the identification is happening in the body. Atma is not getting deluded. Atma is jnana swarupa. But what is getting deluded, we will see which is coming in the verse, next 3 verses, it will be clear. It is the function of the intellect, mind, which is getting deluded. First, Indriya Mano Buddhi is declared as the basis for the phenomenological map of Kama to operate. At the Indriya level, Kama operates as Vishaya Trishna, craving towards the sense objects, most obvious and grossly observable. At the mind level, it operates as Sankalpa, volition, the mental volition and wishful fantasy, subtler and harder to observe than the Indriya level. At the Buddhi level, it operates as Prajnana dosha, the corruption of discriminative intelligence, the most subtlest and the most dangerous. The graduated subtlety of the 3 levels corresponds to the graduated difficulty of overcoming Kama at each level. At the Indriya level, it is easiest to recognize and easiest to control it. At the Buddhi level, Kama is nearly impossible for the uninstructed sadhaka to even detect. He will not be even able to recognize it. And how do they do it? Avritya vimohayati. Shankaracharya's precise statement of the Advaitic doctrine of avidya in the two phases of avarana and vikshepa. Phase 1 is avarana. Kama covers the jnana at the indriya mana buddhi level, preventing the viveka that should see through it. Having lost the discriminative intellect to see the kama, the vikshepa, the projection, kama starts projecting its own reality onto Dehin. The Vishayas appears as genuine source of Ananda. They are thinking that Indriya contacting with the sense objects is giving happiness is the false feeling of wrong reality projected by the Kama. And the body appears as the self. That is why the body is the one which is getting deluded, but Kama says that is the body, that is the self. So we all identify with our body because of our Kama in the body, mind, intellect level. Therefore, Kartrutva appears as real. The activity of the body, where the actions are being performed, becomes my activity. The Dehin does not merely become ignorant by lack of knowledge, but positively getting deluded because of the holding to the false knowledge. The removal of this delusion requires not merely the absence of avarana, but the positive arising of jnana through sadhana, specifically through the three levels of discipline of indriya, mana and buddhi, which will be prescribed in the next 3 verses. The indriya, mana, buddhi as the sadhana is the place where the sadhana also is prescribed in the following verses. But it will be in the reverse order. Buddhi, manas, indriya. It has to start from the buddhi, from the subtlest to the grossest. The sadhaka must first stabilize the buddhi through atmajnana viveka. Then control the mind using the atmajnana through buddhi, which will be explained in verse number 42 and 43, the coming 2 verses. And then regulate the indriya through the mind, because mind is the charioteer which is controlling the horses of indriyas, which we will see later in Krishna using that simile. The verse thus provides both diagnosis at the 3 levels of Kama's operation and implicit prescription at the 3 levels of purificatory discipline in the reverse order. Dehinam vimohayati is an explanation of the anichan api balativa niyojitaha. At the verse 36, we saw that Arjuna asking, saying that even though not desired, as if forced by somebody, the indriyas are acting into this. Why the person commits papa against his own will? The answer is complete, because Kama. Using these 3 bays as instruments, the Kama first covered the jnana, removing the viveka that would prevent the papa. Then actively delude the Dehin, projecting a false reality in which the papa appears justified. Papa is there, but it will appear as if it is a justified dharma. It will be shown as it is necessary also. And instead of showing it is papa, it will be shown that it is even virtuous. So the Dehin who is vimuda by Kama at all the 3 levels has no operative viveka. He is under the clutches of Kama. His indriya, mano, buddhi are all instruments of Kama rather than that of jnana. And therefore, he must commit papa as if compelled by an irresistible force, balativa. The resolution lies in the sadhana of the final 3 verses, reclaiming Indriya, Mano, Buddhi from the Kama's control through the discipline of Karma Yoga, and ultimately dissolving Kama through Atma Jnana, which we will be seeing in the next 3 verses. Indriyani Mano Buddhishcha Asya Kamasya Adhishtanam Ashraya Uchyate. The senses, mind and intellect are said to be the abode or the seats of the desire. Shankaracharya's commentary. So the same Adhisthana is where these 3 are being given. Indriyani with the contact of the objects, Mana with the emotional response and desire, Buddhi, justification and decision. Etaihi Indriya Divihi Ashrayaihi. Through these supports, the senses, etc., Vimohayati Vibidam Mohayati Esha Kamaha. This desire deludes the person in many ways. Misjudgment, distorted priorities, mistaken pursuit of happiness. Thus the person loses the clarity of understanding totally. It is the multiple forms of confusion. Jnanam avritya achadya. By covering and concealing the knowledge, that is how Kama is operating. It is first taking control of the buddhi by concealing the knowledge, and when the knowledge is covered and concealed, then the buddhi loses the discrimination power, and then buddhi is not able to instruct the mind which way to operate, instruct the indriyas. So dehinam sharirinam means the one embodied person. Here this hierarchy is there. Senses encounter objects. Mind develops attraction, aversion. Intellect rationalizes, directs and action. Knowledge become obscured. This is after the, what you call, confusion which has been generated by the Kama. This is governed by the desire. '41. Tasmat tvam indriyanyado niyamya varadarshabha papmanam prajahihinam jnana vitnanam nashanam. Tasmat tvam varadarshabha adau indriyani niyamya papmanam jnana vitnana nashanam enam kamam prajahihi. Therefore, Arjuna, having first disciplined the sense organs, destroys this sinful one, destroyer of jnana and vitnana. Niyamya means is the preparatory discipline, which leads to the ultimate destruction, the sadhana and the phala. Tasmat, having said that this is the adhisthana, is the 3 places. Therefore, for this reason, since Kama is the Nitya Vairin that covers jnana using Indriya Mano Buddhi as adhisthana, therefore, tasmat. This is what you must do, is what Krishna is telling. The entire sadhana, which is starting from 41st verse to 43rd verse, is grounded in the metaphysical analysis of the preceding 4 verses. Without understanding Kama's nature, origin, insatiability and the 3 bases, adhishthanas, the prescription would be mere injunction without understanding. Therefore, the word tasmad ensures that the prescription follows necessarily from the analysis. Otherwise, the word tasmad has no relevance there. Because the tasmad is uttered by Krishna, it is to relate back to the previous verses in connection with the same. Tvam means Arjuna. This prescription is addressed personally and directly to Arjuna. Tvam as tvam api, like you too, like all other karmadhikaris. The explicit pronoun of Tvam emphasizes personal responsibility. The sadhana is not something to be done by the teacher or a ritual performer. Sadhana has to be performed by oneself, on oneself. That is the absolute necessity. Nobody can do it, nor the teacher, nor a ritual performer, like in the case of a yaga. In the case of a yaga, the yajamana will be sitting, but the yaga will be performed by the ritual performer. But in this case, this sadhana cannot be done by anybody else other than yourself. Therefore, Shankaracharya notes that Tvam also carries the force of avidya. Right now, starting immediately, without this instruction is urgent and personal. Indriyani, we saw that the sense organs. Vishaya abhimukha pravartani indriyani. It is not mere sense organs. It is the sense organs oriented towards and moving toward their sense objects. The indriyas in their natural samsaric condition are perpetually moving outward. Bahirmukha. This is exactly Paranjikani Vyatranat Swayambhu Tasmat Parang Pasyadina Andaratma Kastiddhira Pratyakatmanam Aichat Avrtachakshu Amrutattumicha. In the Kathopanishad, we discussed that when we were discussing Kathopanishad. So Indriyas are Bahirmukha, means Paranchikani. It is looking outward. Driven by Kama. And when you bring Niyama, Yama Niyama, turns them inward or at least arrest their compulsive outward movement. That is the first thing to be done. Adav means first in the beginning, outset, primary step. So Adav Prathamam, first of the all, is philosophically significant. It established the sequence of the three levels of sadhana. Why begin with Indriya? Because Indriyas are the most immediately accessible and observable level at which Kama operates. They are the utmost adhisthana, and their discipline, niyama, is the first step that enables the discipline of manas and then buddhi. Because you are already deluded. We are already deluded, so starting with the mind or the intellect, because the conditions of the mind and intellect is now under the clutches of the indriyas, because one becomes subservient to the other one. Shankaracharya connects Ado to the principle, the Indriya Niyamat Manas Buddh Shuddhi, Manas Shuddhya, Buddhi Shuddhi, Buddhi Shuddhya, Jnana Prapti. That is, from the control of the Indriyas, and when it becomes purified, it will purify the mind. And from the purification of the mind, the Buddhi will be purified. And from the purified Buddhi, the Viveka Jnana will happen. The sequence is discipline, the most accessible level first, then progressively work toward the subtler ones. So niyamya, the word is for control, niyama, yama, niyaman, that niyamya. Having controlled, having regulated, having brought under control. Shankaracharya carefully distinguishes niyama, niyamya here, from nigraha, condemned in 3.33, where nigraha was the balat nivaranam, forcible external suppression without inner transformation. Here, niyamya is viveka puraka niyamana. Discipline preceded by and informed by viveka. The sadhaka who understands kama is wherein, and that the indriyas are the base, can discipline them from understanding rather than from mere suppression. Therefore, niyamya as vishayebhya pratyaharya, having withdrawn from their objects, the indriyas having withdrawn from their objects, is the pratyahara. The pratyahara of yoga understood in its Advaitic context. Viveka Sahita Niyama. O Bharatarshaba, O Arjuna, Papmanam is sin, evil, or the sinful one. Shankaracharya defines Papman as Kama. It is the Papa is being done by the Kama, because others are mere instruments. So the sinful one, picking up from Papma, Mahapapma in the verse number 37, where Kama was called the great sinfulness. The Papmanam identifies Kama as the target of Prajahana, means destruction or elimination. So Papmanam as Papasya Hetum Kamam, Kama, which is the cause of the sin. The root of all Papa must be destroyed at its root. Prajahihi. It is to abandon, to give up completely, or to destroy, or to forsake. Samyak tyajati is other meaning. Completely or properly abandons. Shankaracharya reads the prajahihi as vinagnati, destroyer or annihilator. The imperative is the culmination injunction of the entire chapter. The third chapter, the instruction is to do this, eliminate. The ultimate prescription toward everything that has been building till now, karma yoga, yajnartha, all those things can never be successful unless the samyak tyajati, complete, properly abandoning of the kamas. So, Shankaracharya connects prajahihi to the prajahati yada kaman in the 255. When one completely abandons all desires, is what he told in the description of Sthira Prajna when he started. The one with the steady wisdom. The instruction of the third chapter thus circles back to the second one. The Jnanin of 2.55 or the Sthira Prajna has completely eliminated or properly abandoned Kaman, and that is the goal toward which Karma Yoga Sadhana of the third chapter is directed. And Prajahihi is the final imperative that synthesizes the entire teaching. The next word is Enam. Destroys this one. Enam means this one. So Kama is the one which is being referred as Enam here. The same Kama was being said as Yesha, Etena, Enam, etc. in different verses by Krishna. Krishna keeps pointing to Kama through these verses with increasing urgency. So Krishna's only attack is Kama. And Shankaracharya reads Enam as creating the immediate and personal confrontation which is required. Destroy this one who is right here and now in your Indriya, Mana, Buddhi, and operating against you at this very moment, making you a Ajnani. Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. It is the adjective for Kama. The adjective says Jnana Vijnana Nashana. The destroyer, that which destroys what? Jnana and Vijnana. Nashanam means one destroys. that which destroys both jnana and vijnana. So, jnana and vijnana. What is jnana? Knowledge of Atman and related matters derived from Shastra. Paroksha jnana. The immediate scriptural knowledge of Atman obtained through Shravana and Manana. The intellectual conviction that Atman is Brahman, that Atman is Akarta, and that Kama is Anatman. Whereas Vijnanam tadeva gurumukhat pratyakshikritam. That same knowledge directly realized through the teacher's instruction. Aparoksha jnana, the immediate, direct, experiential realization of Atman as Brahman. The earlier jnanam is paroksha jnanam, by textual knowledge or understanding or intellectual understanding, but it has not become a direct experiential realization. Whereas Vijnana is a direct experiential realization. Brahmavat atmaikatva sakshatkara. Brahma atmaikatva sakshatkara. This anubhava jnana, the direct cognition that aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman, which is the actual moksha karana. That is the one which is the moksha karana or emancipation. The compound jnana vijnana nashana thus indicate that kama destroys both levels of knowledge. The theoretical conviction before it can deepen into realization, and the direct realization before it can stabilize into kami sthiti. Shankaracharya reads nashana as the nivartaka, that which causes to cease or extinguishes that knowledge. Therefore, kama extinguishes both the lamp of paroksha jnana and the blaze of paroksha vijnana. This is ultimately the reason why kama must be prajahiti, destroyed, rather than merely managed or reduced. As long as kama exists in any form, even an iota, it will attack jnana and vijnana at every opportunity. So, in the Adav Indriyani Niyamya, when he said that the subtle flame of jnana cannot survive in the antakarana, still churned by the unregulated indriya, Shankaracharya thus defends the necessity of preparatory stages of karma yoga, indriya niyama, through yajnartha karma, manas shuddhi, through asakta karma yoga, and buddhi shuddhi through adhyatma chetasa, before atma jnana can rise and stabilize. The second part is the jnana vijnana part of which corresponding to atman derived from Vedanta Vakya Vichara, reflection of Vedantic statements, which is the fruit of Shravana Manana, and this jnana is the present in the Jitnyasu, who has not yet attained the nididhyasana by the deep meditation, leading to aparoksha jnana. Vijnana is the anubhava jnana, the direct sakshatkara which arises from nididhyasana and constitutes moksha itself. Kama destroys both. At the level of jnana, it destroys the intellectual understanding through buddhi dosha, corrupted judgment. And at the level of vijnana, it interrupts samadhi and pratyahara through vikshepa, by disturbances of the sense contact and mental agitation. That is why it is said that utmost attention and alertness is required, because we are what we are because we were not alert. We are Atman, Brahman, we all are that. But today we do not feel that. because we were not an alert at some point of time. And therefore we became associated with our body. And then the Indriya, Mana and Buddhi was conquered by the Kama. This is why Kama must be completely destroyed, not merely managed. As long as it exists in any of the three adhishtanas or the bases, it remains capable of attracting both jnana or vijnana at the precisely the moment when they are closest to their fruition. That, sadhana we might have done so many lives. We were almost close to knowing the reality. We have the experience. But Kama and Krodha both can take away, attack our jnana and vijnana any moment. We become helpless. We do not know why it is happening. Baladiva, Arjuna has asked the question, why did it happen that way? There is no answer for it, but because the only answer is that we have not completely eliminated the Kama or the Krodha in the three places of Indriya, Mano, Buddhi. Therefore, Shankaracharya synthesized the entire third chapter's practical teaching. The chapter begins with Arjuna's question about jnana versus karma. Which is, we remember, if you remember, the first question by Arjuna was that jnana is Shreyas and then karma, then why are you forcing me into karma? That was the question which he asked in 3.1 and 2. That progressed through Yajna Chakra teaching from 3.10 to 3.16. Vijnani's freedom and Karma Yogin's duty were described in 17 to 20. Then addressed the Jnani's action as Loka Sangraha that was taught in verse number 20 to 26. The analysis of Kartrutva and Akartrutva was taken up to show that why the Jnani seems to be acting as an Akarta even though he is acting. And the practical instruction for Karma Yoga was given in verses 30 to 35. Before culminating in the identification of analysis of Kama as the root obstacle for the entire problem of wishing. Therefore, the final injunction, Prajahihi, destroy Kama, is thus the essence of the entire chapter. The Karma Yoga teaching in its entirety as a Karma Nirasana Sadhana, discipline of removal of Kama, leading through Chitta Shuddhi to Atmajnana. That destroys Kama at its root and reveals the Atma as Purna, Akarta, Nityamukta, eternally free. Shankaracharya gives this word Prajahihi. Prajahati yada kaman. In the this Siddhapratnya Bhasha. That has been linked here. The third chapter thus concludes by pointing back to the Siddhapratnya Lakshana in the second chapter. The Jnanin who has completely abandoned all desires in the mind, Kaman, is realized fruit of the Prajahihi instruction. Therefore, the Karma Yogin who follows the teaching of third chapter, disciplining the Indriyas, purifying the mind and the intellect, performing all actions as Ishwararpana, with Nirashi, Nirmama, is progressively moving towards Sthitapratnya's complete Kama Prajahanana, which is the moksha itself. So the Bhashya reads like this. I don't think I'll be able to complete it today. So 2 more verses is there. We'll take it on Monday. Tasmat tvam indriyani ado purvameva niyamya vashikritya varadarshava. O Arjuna, therefore first restrain both the senses under control. Because desires enters through the senses, objects stimulate craving, and the mind becomes agitated, and the agitating mind regulates the senses back to act craving. Papmanam papacharam kamam prajahihi. Destroy this sinful one, which leads to the sinful conduct. Parityajya enam prakritam vairinam. Abandon this natural enemy of kama. Prakritam vairi, inherent enemy in the seeker. Unlike the external enemies, this one arises in the mind, constantly accompanies the individual. The spiritual discipline must address these inner enemies. Jnana Vijnana Nashanam, that which destroys the knowledge and realization. Jnanam Shastrataha Acharyascha Atmadinam Avabodhaha. Knowledge is understanding of the self, related truths derived from the scripture and the teacher. So Shankaracharya defines jnana as intellectual understanding obtained through scripture and acharya. This is the first stage of spiritual knowledge. Vijnanam visheshataha tad anubhava. Realization is a direct experience of that truth which has been learned from the Shastra and the Acharya. Shankaracharya clarifies that Vijnana means immediate realization and the living experience of the self. So hearing, understanding, realization. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Tayoho jnana vijnanayoho shreyaha pratihatve nashanam. It destroys, karma destroys both knowledge and realization, which are the means to attaining the highest good, which is moksha. Shankaracharya emphasized the seriousness of the desire. It obstructs both knowledge and realization. It blocks the path of Shreyas, which is liberation. Thus, conquering the desire becomes essential. Prajahihi atmanaha parityajyarte. Therefore, abandon it or cast it away from yourself. Shankaracharya concludes the decisive instruction by the seeker must recognize the desire as enemy, restrain the senses, remove the root cause of ignorance, which will attack the jnana and vijnana. We'll stop here and do the 42 and 43 verses on Monday. I don't want to rush through. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawad.
Thank you very much, Binduji. I'm opening the chat and hand raising for any follow-up questions or discussions.
Namaste, Venkat. You have any question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think thanks for you're really taking us through the building blocks. I got sidetracked where I took a top-down approach. That didn't work really. Then gone into this Hatha Yoga, that very hard form that I didn't have any option by then, that option alone. This Yama Niyama for Indriya control was extreme actually, right from waking up at 3:45 in the morning and the food is like meager food provided. Even that Indriya, the food taste itself is taken out. And the the entire yoga, asana, all that, it was extreme restraint. Because now I am getting the whole rest of it. The disciplining of this whole body as an equipment and bringing it to a discipline is the first step to knock off.
Right.
I think this is really pointing to it. This verse is pointing to it.
Yes.
That really clarifies a lot why that is required.
Absolutely.
The how is not told, but why, what is told here. What to be done is told, but how it is not told here.
How is it coming?
It's coming, okay. So then the manas is because the first three step, yama, niyama, asana, is the first three step for indriya control. Then the pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. All this indicate a samyama.
Yes.
These are the two steps. Now I get it after you covered this. It seems like a bottom-up approach more than a top-down approach in the way it is now laid out. We'll wait then, Binduji. The buddhi part is unclear yet.
Yeah. It is 2 more verses are there. You will be clear.
Okay. Then I'll wait then, Binduji.
Okay. Thank you, Binduji.
Thank you, Binduji.
Namaste, Srini.
Namaste, Binduji. Only one thing, it felt today's class actually I joined a bit late. I had some work meeting, but yesterday when you were bringing some you showed 3 levels of difference. It felt like again that same example, instead of like the boat example we discussed, it is more like that. If you have a thorn in your leg, if you first take another thorn, then remove it, then throw away the thorn. So there are clearly 3 distinct stages that are visible, right? One who doesn't even have a tool to remove the thorn, and the other one, of course, is still holding on to the thorn after the thorn is removed. That example seems apt to yesterday's session, at least. Do you think so, Binduji?
Yeah, it is indicating towards that, but we have to go as per what Krishna is projecting here. So he has said that the 3 examples are from the subtler, grosser level, subtler to gross level. And the way in which they are holding on to these 3 is the 3 examples which was shown, that the smoke covering the fire, then the mirror getting covered by the dirt or things like that, and the embryo getting covered by the thin layer of placenta. So the 3 examples show the grip under which karma can hold on to this. If the moment the intellect is completely covered, is deluded, then mind and the indriyas can do nothing. Where will be the discrimination come? That is why in the 62nd verse, 2nd chapter, he said that Sangat samjayade kama, kamat krodho vijayade. So that shows that the contact level at the indriya level is where the kama is happening. But where does it begin with? Lack of discrimination. Lack of discrimination, and it leads to the lack of what you call mind control. And when you have a lack of mind control, the indriyas are free to feed in kama to all the backward. So the indriyas are only what you call the receivers, but the benefits are passed on to the indriya and buddhi. Manas and buddhi. So what happens? The delusion takes place at the buddhi and the mind level. Indriyas are not deluded. They are growing as per what the mind is detailing. So these examples will be completely picture clear by 2 more verses are there. It is very excellent verses from the 3rd chapter. In fact, the best explanation for our problems are covered in these 4 verses, 41 to 43.
Sure, Vidyaji, it is very appetizing. So to continue those examples, for me it feels like Karma Yoga is only for the first 2 persons. The third embryo example, it's not possible. It is not even qualified for Karma Yoga. Do you think so?
No, Karma Yoga has to be beginning at the mind and the intellect level. No, Indriyas are only tools. Actually, the Indriyas are themselves are important to function independently without the mind.
Yeah, so one has to start using the mind and not only keep using Indriyas, right?
No, but Indriyas, he has got a reverse connection also. Because at the Indriya Vastu, the Indriya and the sense organ and the sense object contact is where the karma tricks the mind by the lack of knowledge. Because at the intellectual level, it has created a confusion, delusion. So the wrong thing has now projected, which Ananda, which is supposed to be the nature of the self, is now being projected onto the sense objects. And therefore, this delusion is at the mind, at the intellectual level, which confuses the mind, and the mind and then the Indriyas are thinking that is what is the reality. That is what we covered today. So at the Indriya level, there is a traffic up and down. That is why the cycle of repeatability into the sense organs and the sense objects keeps on happening until and unless we remove it at the root of where the discrimination itself is to be powerful. And if the discrimination is not powerful, the mind and the indriyas will be always feeding back to the confusion again and again.
Thank you, Binduji. And finally, the first example of the coal covered with that ash or something, or fire with smoke, that is, for a jnani, even that problem is not there, right? That is the last level of Karma Yoga, or what would you say to that?
That is not a Karma Yoga level. That is akarta. When that jnani has become akarta, for him then, the indriyas and the indriyas contacting with the sense objects is not an activity at all. That is prakriti guna. We say guneshu vartande. We studied that before. That should not forget the previous verses. In that it has been very clearly mentioned. Guna guneshu vartande. That is the knowledge which the jnani has got.
So even in a jnani's experience, this smoke covering the fire kind of thing can happen?
No. The ultimate thing is that when that pure jnana takes place, that is when the karma is completely removed, because there is no kartrutva or bhoktrutva. But when you have a kartrutva, bhoktrutva, that is the place, the bhoktrutva part is where the karma will act. And the kartrutva will be deluded kartrutva. But when
then
the
it will be like a retrospective action, like after the smoke has come, then we blow air or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Got it, Binduji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Binduji, have a follow-up, Binduji.
Yes, Vingat.
This covering 3 levels, right? With the womb and mirror and the smoke and fire.
Right.
It is like, if the covering itself is more powerful than Brahman, the Gnanam. Right? It gives an inverted picture. If one Brahman is Bruhat, then the coverage is Bruhat.
No.
So,
You have to understand one thing, Venkat. There are Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana, 3 level. The Jnana and Vijnana level is up to the Nididhyasana. But once the Nididhyasana fructifies as Aham Brahmasmi, then none of this confusion can ever happen. The Kartrutva, Bhoktrutva, I am the Sharira, even the instruments are not his. He has no identification with them. He identifies with Atma Chetans. He is becoming one with the self. Thereafter, there is no Yadgatvana Nivartande. There is nothing further happening to him. But at the Manana level, even though we have the knowledge, we are understanding it correctly, we know that we are Atman, Brahman, everything is undisputedly accepted. But that Nididhyasana aspect of conviction, where the Anubhava is happening, until that happens, what happens? We are likely to be attacked by the Kama and Krodha.
perfect, Dalji. That whole structure of Kama, no doubt. Just that example of coverage gives a inverted understanding.
That is only up to the mind level. I mean, not mind level, Manana level.
Okay.
But once the Nididhyasana takes place, then there is you have known the Vastu. Vastu as what? I am the self. And I am not the body, mind, intellect. So the mind and intellect is no more me to get deluded. Right? Thank you. Prakash?
Indraji, one quick follow-up.
Yes.
I just want to again convert these 3 examples into one, just to understand it in a different way. Like, for example, if we take these 3 as a dish which is very dirty, like very oily or something, a dish which we cooked. And second dish is moderately dirty. And the third dish is very less, like if we make some idli or something, it maybe gets very slightly dirty. We are not using oil or something like that. Now, is it like for each 3 of these things, there are 3 separate detergents? Like, is Krishna going to tell us that for this, there is a further, more difficult sadhana need to be done for a more dirty dish and moderate sadhana or is it like one single detergent which can wash all the dishes kind of thing? What way is that?
No, that example is not the way in which we have to think about it, because there are no three dishes and 3 separate operations. Here 3 adhisthana is happening is in the 3 levels of the same instrument, which is called the Dehin or the Deha. In the Deha, we have the locations where they are operating. One is at the Indriya level, which is coming in contact with the physical objects world outside. At the mind level, the Indriyas are dependent upon the mind to develop the desire and get in touch with the contact. So both the mind and the Indriyas should be taken together as a composite unit. That is why Shravana Manana is applicable at that level, what I am saying that. At the intellectual level, it is the same intellect which should have the discriminative power from the knowledge of the Shastra and the Gurumukha teaching, which should be able to know itself as Akarta Bhokta. But that has not fructified. He has the knowledge, but he has not become the Anubhava. He still feels that he is the body, mind, intellect complex. Therefore, what happens is that is plain when the Kama is operating. So the example which, if we want to take an example to that extent is, if, I don't know, it is only the chariot example we can say. Krishna himself will say that, Atmanam Hridinam Viddhi Shariram Hridam Evaja Buddhim Tu Sarathim Viddhi Manapragraham Evaja Indriyani Hayanahu. That example which Krishna tells later in the Gita is the only example which we can think for this purpose also. If the charioteer is not knowing the road, he will not be able to control the saddle. And the horses are free to run wherever they want to take it. And the travel will be enjoyed by thinking that the Sarathi is thinking that I am taking the right route and going. Only when the Atma knowledge comes and says that you are now under the control of a delusion and you are thinking that you are going in the right direction, the Sarathi stops the chariot, takes it in a reverse direction. I have made a wrong direction change, and then he goes in the backside reverse direction and takes the correct route. That is the only example we can think about.
What is the game breaker there? So what is the breaking point? Like once he left the horses to run freely, so is it the same Bodha, that it is the same Atmajnana that is which changes the direction, or is it a different medicine for that stage versus?
No. Atmajnana at two different levels. Atmajnana as a textual, informative understanding is still under the clutches of Kama and Krodha. But the Atmajnana, the moment it becomes Anubhava, Aparoksha, he has totally Mukta, Nitya Mukta. He realizes himself is no more associated with the body, mind, intellect. He doesn't see himself as the body. He doesn't know that this body is, there is no I in him to say that this is my body. So, where will, it is that Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhava of the Atman and the appearance of the body, mind and intellect, which appears to us because we are in the waking. In the waking, when the knowledge arises, the waking will become as ephemeral as a dream. Only thing is that we know, we don't call it as a dream, we know that it is a mithya or a unreal experience. The only reality is the Sakshi or the Atma. So Debyo Vilakshana Sakshi Chinmatroham Sadashivam, when I say that, when we say that, that is the time when the total de-identification with the body, mind, intellect is complete. Until then, it is at the intellect level, we are studying, we are learning these scriptures, we know everything, but it has not become our experience.
Okay, so that is when you would say that the Pragraha are taken into the hands of the Sarathi.
To the Atma, to the owner of the chariot.
Oh, okay. Oh, then Sarathi what will happen to Sarathi? There is no Sarathi, is it?
Yes, sir, there is no Sarathi then. There is no Sarathi, no saddle, no other horses. None of them are there.
Okay. Got it.
If the owner of the horse, if the owner of the chariot thinks I am the chariot, that is what happens to us now. We are thinking we are the chariot. But we are not the chariot. We are owner of the chariot.
Thank you, Vindaji. Beautiful.
Thank you, Srini.
I think we are, Vindaji, shall we close the room?
Yeah, I think we can close the room.
Okay. Thanks everyone for coming. Tomorrow is a break day, and so we meet Sunday for an Advaita open discussion. As always, a heartfelt thanks to Binduji for taking us deep into this process of looking at how these Kama Krodha operates. So it's a beautiful deep dive into that space. So thank you very much, Binduji. As always, if you want to go and do the Manana, Sravana Manana, the replays are available in Clubhouse, or you could go to the channel shared in the chat. There's a YouTube channel, and there is the Apple and the Spotify links available. So see you on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. IST for an Advaita discussion with Binduji. And over to Binduji to close the room. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Venkat. Thank you, Srini. And thank you, all of you, for listening. And we will meet Sunday for the Q&A. And Monday, the last two verses of third chapter we'll discuss before we move to fourth chapter. Hari Om. Good night. See you all.
Hari Om. Good night.